Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are having a great week. These are the best moments from the streams throughout the week. So from all the highlights from Monday to Friday will be clipped and put into this video. If you guys want to know more and you guys want to watch more, you guys can then tune to the streams every morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. All right, I'll catch you guys in the video. Peace. Yeah, we need a topic for this channel, guys. We need a topic. So it's looking like this video appears kind of low. So nice. So if that is the top wick being formed, if it's a small wick, I'm gonna look to enter on the flip instead, right? If it's a small wick, I'm gonna enter on the, if it's a big wick, like a nice decent wick, I'm gonna enter on the flip. However, if it's a small wick like this, then I'm looking to enter after you break the lows here. So the setup here is the fact that you close below the support here. You would now expect price to continue down towards the next support, which is down here, coming down like so. So with that being said there, I'll be looking for sells, like, you know, off the fact that we close below the range. But now it just comes down to the entry type. Are you entering off the flip or to break the lows? But perfect opening here. This is a pretty small wick here, so what I'm going to look to have is a sell stop placed on the break the lows here, below the support perhaps. If that is where we're going to flip at, let's see. Oh, got activate here for sell stops, so perfect. In sells here, got active for sell stops here. Stop loss is going to be the previous candle high for 27 pips, and TP is going to be down here for around 70 pips for this TP. So that is my runner position that I'm expecting price to continue down towards. I'm like, oh, there it is. Gonna move my stops to break even, guys, making this a risk-free trade. Also gonna close half here as well at 10 pips. Moving my stops to break even. So we got our 10 pips there. Runner is now risk-free. We're moving crazy here. Holy shit.
We got literally exactly 10 without spreads. Breaks.
Lovely. Goodie. Nice. That's a good trade though. We got 10 pips now. So okay, lovely. Yeah, the 15-minute starter play would be lovely here because you can use the current candle lows as your stops if we were to come up to break this high here. So a buy stop right there at 1783 here, and stop loss would be the current candle lows wherever that is. Oh. Yeah, so 30-minute closure, 15-minute starter play. That's lovely. Oh, chat, got in position here, got activity here, got on a buy stop here as an activity here. Stop loss is the current candle lows, and TP is gonna be up here for 150 pips. So oh wow, Michael break. I'm gonna move my stops to break. Wait, there we go. Gonna move my stops to break even here, chat, making this a risk-free trade here. That was no drawdown in that trade there. Gonna actually close. Oh, not yet actually. 1783.51. Nah, so close, so close. I was gonna say I'm gonna close half. Oh, there you go. There's 10 pips. Gonna close half my positions here at 10 pips, making this a risk-free trade here. Closing half, no drawdown in this trade here, all within a matter of 10 seconds. So congratulations.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
No drawdown. 15-minute starter play. What can we say? Yo, chat, we got a runner here. Let's see if the runner can play through, but we close half here, right? We close half at 10. You can do whatever you guys want to do. Close full, half, partials, whatever it is. But for me here on this trade here, we close half here. But now we got a runner risk free, all right? And that's it. My runner hit break even, chat. What can I say?
Hold on, Marcos is in here.
Oh, I mean, I don't care about that. It's all about but I'm probably gonna wait for the 1 hour closer. Once the 1 hour closes, and if it closes below the support here, I'll take another position for sells. But until then, there's no positions for me because we don't need that big of a wick. I think this is fine for us because we're using the previous candle as our stops, not the current candle as our stops here. Cool. I'm in a position here. Got in a sell position here. My stop loss is the previous candle high, which is up here for 15 pips, and TP is gonna be down here for around 27 pips. So this is a trade that I'm in right now, right? So since it's like in this case we don't need, like, we're using the previous candle as our stop loss here, not the current candle. We don't need like that big of a wick, right? You just need something small to have a wick there, to go off the fact that we should respect that to continue down towards the support down here. Okay, nice. 7 pips in profit here. You guys know what's gonna happen here. All right, gonna look to move my stop loss to break even here, making this a risk-free trade, chat. Making this a risk-free trade now. So we're like around 7 pips in profit, right? We're coming down to fill that wick as expected. So risk-free. There's no more risk on the table here at this point. Oh, chat. Gonna close half my positions here, locking in 10 pips here. I'm actually gonna close a 6 lot instead of a 5 lot. So closing 60% of my positions. Ooh. And now leaving running until TP here. Congrats, chat. Congrats, chat.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
W. Our winning streak continues to a 4 winning streak.
Yes.
Lovely, yes. Lovely. What more can I say? And stopped out. break even.
No, you didn't.
Okay, yeah, I got stopped out. Yeah, I got stopped out. Yeah. I'm looking for a position. Yeah, I want to even get a nice bottom wick first before we enter positions, but it's definitely not looking bad at all. Nice bottom wick form, and then we flip bullish. That'll be an entry point for price to drive up. Same position as yesterday. Pretty similar. And that was not oh, there it is. I think I have news right now. A minor, like a yellow folder for gold. Other than that, that's about it. If you get a nice bottom wick here, maybe like come down towards like 1789-ish, something like that. Or if this is the wick, then if we get a small wick, then you probably want to buy us after you break the highs here at 1790. So let's see which one comes first. Oh, activated. Got in a buy here as price broke the highs after we closed above the range here on a break of the highs instead of the flip. Stop loss is the previous count low. TP is up here for around 40 pips. So this is the trade that we're in right now. Same position we took yesterday, basically. So I want to say I will manage risk after you get around, let's see here, at around here, I'll say around 1797. That's probably where I'll move my stops to break even on this trade here, as that would be our 7 pip mark plus the amount of resistance here. So
imagine he came back with Chick-fil-A.
Oh, chat. Andre with the good luck here. Moving my stops to break even, guys. Making this a risk-free trade there. Got around 9 pips. Might get stopped out here actually, but wow. And I got stopped at break even. Wow. Okay.
Bro,
well,
I just had
that's
to
the trade.
I just closed manually at break even because I knew it could go back in profit, but technically it should have been break even. What the hell?
I got stopped at break even. Chat, unfortunately, we hit break even that trade, but the good thing about that was that we planned it all out, and that's the thing. We planned the whole entire trade out. We even marked out where we're gonna move stops break even at, and everything. So like, it's fine. However, if you were able to lock in positions with your, whatever you're using to manage positions with, maybe some of you guys have auto partial closure, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure you would have been able to lock in something there. But for me, it was a break-even trade for me, which is fine. I adjusted later on, but if this is your resistance and we close bearish now at the top of the range like so, then I'll look for sells coming down to fill the range. All right, but I want to see if we can close bearish here, then take sells coming down to retest the lows, which is down here, and then potentially continue down for the rest of the day as we are bearish after retesting the lows, right? So after you close bearish at resistance, as long as you respect the previous candle high, which is going to be up here, we should be able to come down to fill the range. But we have about 9 minutes left for this hourly candle to close. I believe this hourly candle is going to close doji, perhaps, maybe. Let's see what happens here. But if the hourly candle will close bearish too, that'll be lovely. Nice. Near topic here. So once you flip her, I will be in a position. Stop loss will be the previous candle high, which is up here at 150.342. So got in a position here, chat. Got in a sell here. Stop loss is the previous candle high up here for 25 pips, and TP is down here for 35 pips. Go half risk on this trade here with the fact that you do have a bigger stop than usual on GJ. But let's see. Managing risk wise, probably when we come down towards, like, I want to say around here or something, 7 pip mark, that's probably where I'll move my stops to break even on. So around here or something. And we re-break these lows. Should be Ciao Bella once you break 150.007 there. 5 minute has no top wick though. Oof. Okay, chat. Gonna move my okay, yes. Gonna move my stops to break even here, making this a risk-free trade here, as price should not flip bullish if it wants to drive up, or sorry, down. Now let's see if we can get our 10 pips though, because that's what we want here. So now that we got the break even out of the way, our 10 pip mark is gonna be around here. So at that mark around here, I'll say we'll be closing half, but once we get there. That's not the break even here, chat. Ooh, that's not the break even here. This 5 minute here opened up with like Andre just said, opened up with no bottom wick. Once it flips, you should be goody. But from our entry point, I guess not the break even here. The chat, we might get a 15-minute closure in about 4 or 5 seconds here. So let's see what happens here. Let's see. We need a nice bottom wick being formed before we actually take a position or look for positions. On a flip,
6 pips.
There's the entry. Got in a position here, chat. On the flip to candle. My stop loss is the previous candle low for 26, and TP is up here for around 27. Go roughly a 1-1-1, but waited for the bottom wick to form. I obviously couldn't answer on the first initial push because there was no bottom wick, but now we got the bottom wick form. Answer on the flip the candle. Expecting price to continue up here as the 15-minute candle closed above this range here. Managing risk wise, how am I going to manage risk? I probably want to see how this 15 closes, because if the next 15 closes bearish below the support, it will also be a 30-minute candle closing bearish below the support as well, and therefore we'll look to close out our positions managing risk. But as of right now, trades make sense as long as you respect the previous 15-minute lows down here. That's thought chat. Price came down, broke the 15-minute lows, therefore now you have a high chance for price to drive down towards this next support here. There's no point of the trade is no longer valid here. What you want now for the trade, for another opportunity for buys here, is you probably want a 30-minute closure above this range here. So if you get like a 30-minute closure above this resistance here, then that would be more ideal for buys going up to fill the range. But as of right now, there's no positions here until you actually close above. Probably the biggest question I've got in my life. Look at this. We're gonna answer this question right now, bro.
Vamos.
Right now. We're doing it right now, okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Everyone. A
everyone.
little groggy, but
Oh, a little groggy. Okay, we'll give you an hour. I'll play. We're doing
honestly,
it right now.
use like 30 minutes and then we can.
It's been 30 minutes for us already. I just want to get over it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it, chat. Okay, so this is the question. The issue with range labeling, okay? Yes, do whatever it is. Screen record this, whatever. Thanks for taking time for the question. Obviously, it's, you know, I gotta change the music for this too. I gotta play some music that'll actually lock me in. Too much lyrics, you know? Okay. Thanks for taking the time to answer the question. Obviously, it's all love. I'm trying to figure this out for myself and others. Andre Complete understood my question. My concern was with the way ranges were labeled, not how they can appear skewed on different time frames. Previously, I thought you always labeled ranges relative to current price position. However, I now understand that you label ranges using the two most recent significant changes in market structure. Still using this method, however, it seems as though ranges are labeled with bias, and still it defeats the purpose of labeling range 1 and range 2 at all.
I'm with him on that. You follow him or no?
It seems as though ranges are being labeled with bias. Yes. And it defeats the purpose of range 1 and range 2 breakout. So what does that mean? Okay, let's get into it. In this example, the daily bias for gold was bullish, requiring a range 2 breakout for sells. Okay, so in this example, the daily bias for gold was bullish. Okay, so yeah, this is yesterday, I think gold was bullish, right? Requiring a range 2 breakout for sells. The ranges were labeled as followed: range 1, range 2, top of the range going down. Yes. Range 2 was labeled at the support and resistance, containing the current price position for the most significant change in the market structure.
Perfecto.
Okay, right there. And range 1 was labeled as the support and resistance, containing the previous price position on the second most recent significant change in the market structure. So this is hurt my head. Okay, so range 1 was the second most recent significant change. But isn't this 1, this is 2? You mean, isn't this flipped then? Because the most significant is recent. Okay, the second most recent. Okay, second most recent. Okay, that makes sense.
What's the question? Like, he's just
okay. Hold on. Relax. The question's not even done yet. The way ranges were labeled in this example would allow Don to take both sells and buys immediately in each direction, which is true in this case. Yes, because we're bearish for a day, or bullish for a day, so we need a range 2 breakout. But we could have taken
an onion.
Sorry, we're bullish for a day, so at any given point we can take buys. But for sells, you need a range 2 breakout. In this case, you would have the sells below here because that's a range 2 breakout, and then buys above here back in the range, or buys above here. Yes, in this case, you set up and you put yourself in a situation where you can do both. In this case, cool, perfect. That makes sense.
Just for 1 second.
Yes.
For 1 second.
Yes.
In this situation, you have the current price where price currently is between support and resistance labeled as range 2, not range 1, right?
Yeah.
Let's just put that out on the table.
Say again.
So I'll mark it up here. Is the current price was in range 2 is what you labeled, was where we showed up to on stream. This was the New York Open. This was pre-New York, late London, right? Yeah. Sometimes when we show up to stream, the inconsistency that I think Bubby is talking about is the New York Open gets labeled as range 1, and then something below or above it gets labeled as range 2. So in this instance, we labeled London as range 1 and New York Open as range 2. And in other instances, we would label New York Open as range 1 and late London.
Yeah, but sessions have
range
nothing
2.
to do with.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the session. It has to do with the momentum of the price. It's not. There's none. The range labels have nothing to do with the recency. It only has to do with the momentum. So the reason, if the price was in that range 1 when we got here, it still would have been range 1.
I think Dre understands.
No matter what.
Making a point.
No, I know. I'm talking to the guy in the chat.
Well,
I'm saying
this
it has nothing to do with the
saying
recency.
is what we've done in the past, and he brings up examples of how we've labeled. Because I feel you guys, I'm on the same boat as you, but we've done this thing where we've showed up to the New York session and labeled that as range 1. So
But not because
we're
of
using
that.
current price action to determine the range rather than the change in structure. But keep
No,
going.
I think it just happened to be like that.
Yeah, just that's like a side effect of the fact that you're labeling the ranges based on the momentum, not the. If we were at the chart, no matter what time of day it was, it would have still been the same way.
It
has nothing to
be
do
like
with
that.
the time. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the time. If we show up at 4 a.m., it's still going to be the exact same way that Don labels.
Let's
Okay. Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
going.
Let's keep going. Okay.
Is water wet? That's what someone just said.
I can see sound now, bro. Okay. Buys of closure above range. Yeah. So in that situation, you set yourself up like where you can take buys and sells within the same ranges. Cool. Buys of closure above range 2. Closure above range 2 for the fake out buys going up. Yes. Someone said in the chat. You're right. Into range 1. Perfect. And the sells below range 2. So sells below here because that's a range 2 breakout. Perfect. To conclude, within this example, it seems as though Don has labeled ranges that will allow him to take both buys and sells in immediate adjacent ranges, thus defeating the purpose of labeling ranges and range 2 breakouts. But that doesn't defeat. Okay. The exact situation is demonstrated below using the opposite bias. Yes, you will be put in situations where some situations you are able to take buys above here and sells below here, but it's more so like this. Like this is a perfect. Yes, this is a perfect example of it. It's like the fake out buys plus the actual breakout for range 2 breakouts. So you have this. This is the first initial sells, right? You want the range 2 breakouts as your initial sells, and then you also have the fake out buys as well coming back into range 1, just because that's how the ranges were set up in this situation. It's like we still have one bias for a day, but it's just that since we're doing this whole range 1, range 2 breakout thing, it puts yourself in a situation where you're able to take both range 1 and a range 2 breakout at the same time, and nothing's wrong with that. Well, since I started this, like from my perspective, like we've taken those many times.
Range 1 breakout with our bias would be fine. It's just when you're going against the bias, that's when you need the range 2.
It's when you're going against the bias without a range 2 breakout. Yeah, like Wixon said, without a range 2 breakout going against the bias, that's when you're in some trouble. But as long as you follow the bias and take a range, or follow the bias, take trades within the bias, or take a range 2 breakout, it's either or. It's like, yes, in this situation, like it does look like you just have bias above here, sells below here, which is true. But it's just a situation where, how do I explain? Like the ranges
we signed on because we signed on.
Go
and it was
in your
range
direction.
2.
You can
Can I
go
say
in your
something?
direction at any time, in any range. Like if your bias is bias, you can buy in range 1, range 2, as long as it's with your bias. But if you're going against bias, that's the only time you apply range 2.
I think he's just confused because when we signed on to the stream, we were already in range 2, which has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that we signed on and it was already
At
range
that
2.
time, yeah.
If we signed on 40 minutes before, it still would have been range 1 and range 2, and then it would have broken into range 2 and we wouldn't have taken sells. You know what I mean? Just because we signed on at range 2 has nothing to do with the recency.
With how we label it, yeah.
Yeah, with how we label
That's
it.
the problem, is that we've had inconsistency in labeling our ranges when we
I don't
show
think
up to
so.
the New York session.
No, I
we
think people have a misunderstanding.
I've done it myself. I'm not saying like no one's perfect. And I think the idea of labeling ranges
But what is
to
perfect?
avoid fake outs is such a good idea, right? Like Don has said, let's find a bias. And then if you're going to go against your bias, you need some good like evidence to do so. But sometimes when we show up to a session, we're labeling a range as range 1, and it's not a significant change in market structure just because that's where we show up. And then other times we've labeled the range as range 2 because of a significant market structure change.
But But
I think it's part of it. I'm not saying that's everything.
Sometimes like when we come to a session, like for instance this session, it's like so you know how you say sometimes like we miss certain ranges and you know we tend to avoid certain ranges. Sometimes we could just be avoiding those ranges not because of a range 1 range 2 breakout, that plus with the fact that it isn't a clean range. Like what are the odds of that happening? You know what I mean? What are the odds like where we just avoid certain ranges just because the ranges aren't clean, or the 4 or whatever daily is not like a certain, like a 4 hours not flipped, or 4 hour waiting for a 4 hour flip, whatever the situation is. Because like I need Bubby to show me like an example of where we actually like, you know, misdid it or drew it the wrong way, in other words.
So today we're bullish on gold.
Okay.
Or excuse me, today we're bearish on gold because of the daily bearish closure.
Yeah.
And on a 30-minute time frame, or an hourly time frame, I guess, whatever one you would choose, where would be a range 2 breakout?
I think I discussed this earlier. We already got it. Range 1, range 2. So my bias would be above here going up. That happened already. Cool. We got a range 2 breakout. So if I'm looking for bias now, and price came, so like this is a reset now. This is a reset. Range 1, range 2. Wait, you got me fucked up now.
Yeah, this is exactly it. All right, this is range 1. This is where the daily candle opened. This is range 2.
At this point, I'm like, what is a range 1, range 2
right?
breakout?
Right?
Sorry. That's range 3. Yeah.
Okay. So then this would be our confirmation for bias. Our daily confirmation, you know, our daily bias is bearish. We're looking for a range 2 breakout. We've now broken into range 3. We've had a range 2 breakout. This is when we would take buys into this current range right here.
Yeah, but it already happened though. That's the thing. Like during whatever London, right? In this case.
So that makes it, now this is a good question. I don't think we've addressed this type of the question, is that, so if it's already happened, it takes the significance out of the range.
The broke structure, so now you're
Wait, so with the bias today is sells, right?
It happened, so you can't take it. It doesn't make a difference if it is or it isn't. The point is that now we're waiting for buys above that resistance because we literally cannot catch this position, whether it is or it isn't. No matter what, if it's range 2 or 3, we can only take buys above resistance, and we can only take fake outs back into the next into range 2.
Marcos hates
I would be more confident taking buys back into the range with a higher confirmation that we're going to retest this level, because that's what we go off of, fake outs and onion booties. That's the whole point, is that when we have a closure back into a range that we've already tested as a support or resistance, there's a higher chance that we're going to retest it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
Okay, here's where it is, man.
You just said take buys above, right?
Yeah,
I said if you want to take buys, you can't take buys in this range because it literally already happened. So if you're gonna take buys, it has to be above resistance. If you're gonna take buys,
you're not using your
everything
annotate
you
tools
know
to
about
demonstrate what you're trying to say, Marco. So are you saying this resistance, or are you saying this?
If you want, if there are any buys for you right now in this session, it has to be above here because this has already happened. Does that make sense?
And I'm saying I disagree with you, because this right here is a range 2 breakout, and we've already tested this level, so the chances of us testing this level again are high. That's what an onion booty is.
My point is you can't take the buys because it already happened. Where's your entry? It literally happened before we got the stream on.
Right here. This closure right here.
Yeah, it happened already. You can't get in that position.
It happened 6 minutes ago. I'm saying if this candle had just closed in there, we would take buys to go up, right?
Yeah, but did you take it?
That's not what I'm saying, bro. I'm saying
that's what I'm
explaining
saying.
a question.
Would you have taken it? Would you have taken it? Is what he's trying to ask, I guess.
I would have taken it.
Why? That's the whole point. We just said that's a range 2 breakout.
Yo, real quick, before I forget to stop, please.
We're missing trades.
No, before I forget to stop, quick, like, so like, here's an example of it. It's like, okay, last night, new session, price came down, boom, 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 bap, bap, bap. Range 1, range 2. This is a range 2 breakout going up. Right, so after price came down, boom, this is the reset, because like obviously price flipped from there. This is the reset once you create the first range. Same thing here, price came down last night, boom, this is the reset from here. So for buys now you need how was it, sorry, from here, this is the reset. Price came down, this is the new reset. This is range 1, this is now range 2. Buys be above here now, above the next resistance going up. That is
That's how I see
To answer the question, that's how I see it. That's what I meant. It's like the reset. It's like,
And I see what you're saying. The
That's
quote
also
unquote
how I see
reset
Yes.
aspect of it
yeah,
is what makes a range identifiable at a certain point in the session.
Here's the thing, Premier. Like right here, you're saying it's a high chance of it going up and retesting that high. Now, I'm saying since this is range 1 and 2, yes, there's a high chance, but there's a high chance of getting faked out and coming back down.
so whose mic was
So,
that?
so I
No
think
idea. What was that?
I'm scared.
no clue. So I think above. Let me annotate. Here we go. I think above here would be the range 2 breakout, or above this actual whole zone over here. Above that, we get a range 2 breakout.
That's not. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because our market structure has changed over here, and then our market structure changed over here. I believe 1, 2.
Yo, let's get let's get Bubby on. I think I did a good job answering the question, like the reset, like that's something we can add to make you guys less confused when drawing the ranges out. Like the reset, where's the reset? I'll draw another example up. Like this is last night, right? Price came down, obviously. Once you create that support and resistance, that now becomes a range. Therefore, if you break above the range, that's the current reset, right? Because price is now pushing up, pushes up, it breaks into range 2. This now becomes your range 1. This is your range 2. All right. This is the buys above here, going up to fill the next range. Same thing here last night. Price obviously came down. It created a range. This is the reset 1. This is the reset 2. So if I'm looking for buys now, I wouldn't get in these buys here because that may potentially be a fake out due to the fact that it's a range 1 breakout. However, I look for buys above here. But since the ranges is very small here, I'll look for buys above like here instead, because that's something else though. But you guys know what I mean though.
Perfect sense.
That's like how I'll answer the question. But let's get Bubby on to the Zoom call, just so he can.
That makes sense. Is that what you said?
That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, I think what Bubby's also saying is the inconsistency. Sometimes we've done that, and maybe some. I mean, dude, we draw ranges every single day, all day long, and I'm sure at some point we haven't had the reset method. I guess I'm just gonna call that, and he identified it and then like labeled it and gave some examples. So,
which is perfect because it just makes like everyone have a better understanding of it. Plus,
yes,
you know, like. It's like if you were to ask someone, like if you were to ask a different mentor about, for example, why didn't you use a fib, they would not be able to answer it. So it's like it's good that he's asking, because
why do we use range 1 and range 2 breakouts? This is exactly why.
Yeah, we're able to answer these questions. What up, Bobby?
What's good, boys?
Yo, what up, bro? Yo, this question got me.
Sorry for the confusion, boys, but.
What's up?
Okay, so basically, my main concern is about the consistency. So I understand most of the time it seems like your ranges line up with current price position, but I know that you guys are using the 2 most recent significant changes in market structure. But again, it's just like the rare times it seems like you're labeling the ranges the opposite way that you would usually label them. Like for instance, today, let me just pull up the stream.
You can annotate my Zoom if it makes it easier.
Oh, yeah, okay. So sorry, can you just label the ranges once more for me, like right now?
So I'll have right now support, and then I'll have okay, let me just go left there. I have a support here. I'll draw it here. That's the most recent support, and then I have a resistance right around here, and then this is the breakout, and then next range is above here, because this is just such a this is such a small range. I'll just put this as one whole range. So yeah, okay. Those are my ranges.
Okay, and so 2 is the range that the price is currently in, and 1 is the range below it?
Yes, right now, yeah. It's
okay,
1,
so,
2.
And you labeled them that way because range 1 was the second most or the range that was created second, like recently?
No, because we were bear, and that's where momentum switched bull.
Okay, maybe just elaborate on that a little bit.
Daily is bearish, so we're like our bias is initially bearish today.
Yeah.
So
In order for us to take buys, it would have to be above range 2, so the bottom range would be
I understand that.
1.
I'm just asking how you labeled why is range 1 and why is range 2 range 2? Why isn't range 2 range 1 and why isn't?
Because in a bearish day, where the momentum switched bull would be the range 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so my answer to that is the reason why we label this as range 1 was because this is like the initial reset of the. So first of all, the bias is bearish, right? Like our initial bias is bearish. So we only want to take range 2 breakouts whenever you have, or sorry, we only want to take buys whenever you have a range 2 breakout. And then sells we just wherever because our initial bias is bearish, right? So range 1 here, price obviously came down last night. Create a support, create a resistance. This now becomes a range. So we can just take sells anywhere below here or below here, wherever it is. But for buys now, you need a range 2 breakout. So in this case, this is the first range. This is the second range. Buys be above here and not here.
Yeah, for sure. I completely understand that concept. It's just, like I said, in the past, like you would have labeled the top range is 2 and the bottom range is 1, right? So
that's what he just did. Top range is 2 and the bottom range is 1.
Right. Sorry. I meant the other way around.
But what was the bias that day, though? That's the thing.
Sorry?
What was the bias that day? Yeah, well, it would have had to be a bullish day for that to happen.
Okay, so then here's my second question. So like why, if you label ranges according to bias every day, what's the point of labeling ranges? So again, in this situation, we're bearish today on gold, right?
Yeah.
So again, in this situation, you're willing to take sells below into the immediate range below and buys into the immediate range above.
So in this case, I'm going to take sells here. This could be a fake out. Sells below here, and then buys be above this range here.
Right. Okay. So why not just label that as a range and take sells below and buys above?
And we'll be able to avoid this range. To avoid fake outs. Because that's the whole point of ranges, to avoid fake outs.
No fake outs to be had because either way you can buy above and sell below. It's the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
Well, the point is to increase the probability of winning to avoid fake outs. That was why
you can buy and sell anywhere, but you want to take the higher probability trade, and the higher probability buy here would be above there than here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the higher probability is a range 2 breakout, let's say, or a breakout out of this current range to the upside.
Yes.
You have less chances of a fake out.
Okay, so now let's say we have a bullish bias. So the way you label ranges would switch.
Yeah, it'll be flipped because obviously, like, to avoid the sells now, you need a range 2 breakout for the sells in a bullish bias.
Right.
So it goes the opposite way, right?
Okay, so would you still have could you label them bullish and bear with a bullish and bearish bias?
Pardon?
Could you label the same ranges, one bullish bias, one bearish? Just hypothetically.
Wait, so what do you mean?
So
you're coming to the charts, you have a bias, right? You're not going both ways, right?
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying, could you label them as if you were bullish, and could you label them as if you were bearish?
I mean, I can't. This example right here, I can't really do a bear situation or a bullish situation because we're bearish today. I gotta go into like somewhere in the past, but let me just draw it out honestly at this point. So like, wait, so now I'm very more confused. So, what bias do you want? You want a bullish bias?
Yeah, I want a bullish bias and a bearish bias, just to see how it changes how you draw your ranges or label your ranges. Sorry.
Okay, well, so we're bullish today. Price is pushing up. There's no sells unless you get a range to breakout, right? So now when price decides to form a resistance here, boom, 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 and let's say price forms support, this now becomes your first range because you are now creating a range. You have a resistance here, and you have actually, you know what? Let's go. Let's go on the charts.
So much easier on the charts.
Yeah, because I thought it would be easier if I draw it out. But okay, so say like for instance, let's go to like this day right here. We're bearish today. Perfect, right? This day, candle close bearish. Perfect situation here. So if I were to mark it up on my time frames here, I'll be looking for sells below. So this is the most recent. This is the reset point, right? So that will become your support now. This will become your support, and then this will become your resistance right around here, or this is put up here above that resistance right there, because that's one range, right? So since the bias is bearish here, we can either take an onion play, like the onion play is the thing, the onion play at the top of the range here, or two, take sells after you close below the range, which is below here, coming down to fill this range.
Okay, so that is now range 2.
Sorry?
So that current range you've just drawn is range 2.
This is range 1.
And you're bullish or bearish for the day?
We're bearish for the day. Price is bearish. That's why this is range 1. And then the next range would be above wherever. So I think it's above this range for here. So bias for me today would be above this area right here, going up. This is range 1. This is range 2. This is a range 2 breakout going against the bearish trend today. Therefore, bias be above 1868.
Okay, and you labeled range 2 as. Sorry, can you just walk me through exactly how you labeled?
Yeah.
Why you labeled the current range as range 1 and why you labeled the previous range, let's say, as range 2?
Yeah. So we're bearish there, right? And every time you get to the point where you create a support and resistance, that becomes a range. Therefore, that would be your initial reset. So the reset here would be, support form, resistance form. We're in this range now, and since we're bearish for a day, we can just take sells either 1, the onion play, or 2 below here, because we're still bearish for a day, and at any given point we can take sells because we're bearish for a day. Perfect. So, but for buys now, you would, since the bias for a day is bearish, you would want a range to fake out to take buys, right? Because your bias is bearish, right? So for buys, you want a range 2 breakout. That's the whole point of the range 1, range 2 thing. In this case, like, this is your resistance here. Oh, sorry, this is your support. This is your resistance. This is range 1. You break above this resistance. We're now breaking back into a new range. This is the new range we're in right now, from here to here. This becomes your range 2. So if you want buys now going against the daily bias, you want a breakout, a closure above like this resistance up here.
Yeah. So what I would say in this case is that, the previous example in the Google Doc in yesterday, I believe, labeled range 2 as the most recent significant change in market structure. So if you use the same logic you used yesterday, range 2 would be where you've just drawn range 1, I believe.
Wait, for gold?
For
the first
gold.
one, right? Yeah, the gold yesterday it was a different bias, I believe. It was we're buys, right? We're bullish that day. That's why it's different. So like for buys, like we're bullish every day, so we can just take buys, and we can take buys, the onion play going up to fill this range, or you can take it above this resistance up here going up, right? But for sells, you need a range 2 breakout. In this case, this is the reset up here. This is down to reset. This is 1 and this is 2. So sells would be below there coming down to fill this range.
Right. Okay. This is confusing. So it just seems like, right. Sorry, can you go back to the...
You know what? I'm going to show you a bullish example because I'm showing you bearish examples.
Yeah.
Okay. Like let's go to like, where the chart's at? Where is price at? Okay, here. So, let's go for instance. Let's go on a daily. Let's go to this candle. So we're bullish for a day, right? Obviously, price is bullish for a day. We close bullish. Look for buys going up to fill 1804 that day, which we actually drew out this candle one day. Okay, so drop down to 30, right? So in this case, perfect. You have price coming up. This is the reset. Create a range. This is the reset. Okay, this is the first range. Since we're bullish today, you would now need a range 2 breakout for sells to happen. So what you want here is you would probably want price to close below this range here. Continue down, no sells yet since it's a range 1, and you probably want a whole completely different range being formed there in order for you to get sells below. So below here, after you form this range, then you can take your sells coming down for a range 2 breakout if you were to get a closure below this support now to continue down.
Okay. So I think the best way to like explain it, I mean, maybe I'm just a little dense, but is the reset method instead of 1 and 2. And here's why. because using a different bias, right, you would have labeled ranges 1 and 2 differently, just opposite, right? And it kind of adds another level of complexity, I think, just because of like the reasons I cited, like for example in the Google Doc. But like the reset method does make it a lot cleaner. Like the past 2 resets is how you're labeling your ranges, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. I don't know.
You from Boston?
Thanks for taking the time. No, Toronto.
Oh, you're from Toronto.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I think he sounds like he's from Boston.
He's from Toronto, and you're taking up the stream's time. Yo, meet Don after the stream. Go to coffee. Go to McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
What is it, Tim Hortons?
Yeah, the guy probably lives around the block from you.
Yeah.
Bubby, you mind me asking how old are you, bro?
I'm 22.
22.
Yeah.
You see? Boom. Connection
Hey.
made.
If that helps someone in the chat, let me know. Yo, Bubby, I don't think I'm gonna change it to a reset because no one in the chat, like, this is what we originally came up with, right? I'm just gonna keep it as range 1 and range 2.
Yeah.
Because either way, the reset or range 1 and range 2, we're gonna have to explain it either way. So why not just leave it as a range 1, range 2 breakout?
Yeah, I guess I just like having a hard time with the way they're labeled. Like it's just relative to, it's kind of like labeling your ranges like relative to what was my my big question.
Yeah.
Right? But I guess as long as it's like you can replicate it every day, like consistently, like it makes sense to me. But again, like it seemed like previously that like sometimes the immediate range would be range 2, and sometimes the previous range would be range 2, and like that it just aligned with the bias. But I guess not using like the 2 most recent resets. It doesn't.
Exactly. You just said it exactly, Bubby. That's exactly what you just said is you clarifying your own question.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a good question, bro.
Yeah. Thanks
Yo,
for
feel free
time.
to stay. You can just stay, bro. You
Okay.
got.
Okay.
You can just chill.
Yeah.